is Katie Weaver, and this is a special edition. You might notice that I'm in a totally different setting than normal, and I think Unchurch is happening a little earlier than normal too, but I had promised last week I was on a girls' trip this weekend, and I have enlisted my traveling mates to help me out with Unchurch this morning. So, of course, you probably recognize Christy Brower, my sister and partner in crime over at True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters, and she is my first contestant. So, as always, Unchurch is a 20-minute uplifting event to just help kick off your Sunday and give you hopefully a little bit of spiritual upliftment and edification. That's the goal. So this should be fun. So, Christy, you're first. We decided to go in age order.
Obviously, oldest to youngest, if you couldn't tell.
But, you know, oldest the best of all the game.
Yeah,
right?
There you go. There you go.
We actually have oldest and second oldest right here. So we're the sages, we're the matrons on this trip. You would not know it by our behavior. Christy hit a fart machine in the car yesterday. Had the girls pretty perplexed about what was going on in there, and we managed to turn them against each other pretty good for a little while, but, you know, that's how we roll.
Can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, definitely. So, Christy, so my goal here, actually, sorry, I'm going to back up, was to just ask everybody just a question that I know they can answer that might give you guys a little bit of insight into who they are and just maybe a little inspiration. So, Christy, you have been a warrior for social justice forever. And one of the things that you have been really strong about, of course, have been LGBTQ rights and Black Lives Matter and really just human rights, you know, in so many ways. And so I just wondered if you would take a couple of minutes and talk to us about what you think the number one thing that is getting in the way of our unification right now.
Oh my gosh, there are so many things, but the thing that comes to mind to me over and over again is the human right to self-determination. And how important it is that we all have the right to determine who we are and what that means for us and the choices that we make. We're living in a really weird world right now where everybody thinks it's their right to police everybody else and tell everybody else who they can be, and that we all have to fit in their little box. That if we don't fit their expectation of us, and it's so strange. Like I'm not exactly sure. I think I have some idea that this came out of religion in a lot of ways, but that idea that if it's right for me, it has to be right for you, and if I want it, then you have to want it too, and that we're all the same, and we are not all the same. And that idea that we are not all the same is so important when it comes to racism and understanding where we come in with racism and where our biases have developed, our unconscious biases particularly. I talk to people all the time who tell me they're not racist, and that's not true. If you're white, you are racist. You don't realize it. You've been raised in a society that is automatically set up for you to prevail over people of color. You didn't set it up, but you benefit from it every day. And so those are the two biggies for me, is the right to self-determination and understanding unconscious bias. That if we can get to where those two concepts really make sense for all of us, I do feel that we can end the discrimination against the LGBT community and that we can end racism. If we can understand that I can't understand what it's like to be a person of color. I have to listen to people of color and believe them and trust them and make changes in the system to assist them. As a white person, that's my job, is to hear them and believe them. Because I don't know what it's like to be a Black person in America. I know what it's like to be a lesbian in America, and so I have some idea about discrimination, but I can't apply my experiences to somebody else's life. I have to listen and believe and then make choices that assist people who are struggling with things that maybe I don't understand or that I've never even struggled with. And I think those two keys are really it right now. And I know there are many others, but those are two that have been big in my mind lately.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, Kara, do you want to take the hot seat? I get to have a hot seat. Isn't it fun? Yeah. So many of you know my younger sister, Kara. You guys heard her for years on the Psychic Sisters. You might have remembered that. Or if you don't, this is my younger sister, Kara. So a few years ago, you remarried. Mm-hmm. And you married somebody with a bunch of kids.
I did.
And you already had kids. And you and your ex-husband, to me, have been rock stars of co-parenting. Rock stars. And your new husband and his ex-wife and all of you have co-parented these children so beautifully and with so very little conflict or, issues at all. And, in my line of work, I talk to people every day that are going through hell with exes and with co-parenting situations that are just unthinkably hard, where obviously no one is putting the kids first. And I've been so impressed with the way you guys have all just really seamlessly and really selflessly put the kids first. And so I wanted to know if you wanted to talk a little bit about how that works. How do you put your ego aside? How do you let it not be about you?
Well, honestly, it all came down to it. It's about the kids. It's not about us. It's not about the conflict and the hard feelings that might be between the two of you.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, I read something once that said that when you get a divorce, your kids aren't getting a divorce. Your kids are not, separating from their parents the way you're separating from your spouse. That their lives need to carry on as normally as you can possibly make that happen. And obviously that's difficult. They're not going to carry on the way they were. But I think it helps very much that my ex-husband and I, we can be friends.
Yeah.
And it helps that his new wife, she and I can be friends.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of communication, and it takes a lot of just remembering that it's about the kids, and it's not fair to the kids to make it about the two of you fighting and using each other against the kids. That's not fair. That's rotten, because your kids didn't do anything to deserve this.
Right.
And so in order to, try and help them maintain sanity, and maintain their good mental health and relationship with both parents, you've got to, you've got to be able to go to a softball game and sit with your ex-husband and your ex-husband's new wife, and visit with each other and show the kids that, but you guys can be okay together and have it so that they have two homes and that they have all of this support, and that the fighting with each other and the stories that you hear about people that are going through absolute hell are using each other using the kids, I guess I should say, to hurt each other. And it's ridiculous. It's immature and it's ridiculous, and you don't do that to your kids.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, and I really appreciated what I witnessed from you guys over the years.
It's not easy.
No, it's not easy.
not
but
easy.
You guys have all done such a good job of putting your bullshit aside, and just letting your kids benefit and never making them feel guilty about loving both sets of parents and letting that be okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Mataya, you're next. I like this hot seat game. We might have to do this again. So for those of you that don't know, this is my oldest daughter, Mataya. She's probably the least excited about joining me on camera today, but she's doing it because I'm helping her move this week. So you might be seeing a bit of blackmail right here, right now. Mataya got her CNA when she was 17, her certified nurse's assistant certification. Was that correct to say? Actually, when you were 16, when she was a junior, and went to work immediately in a nursing home, taking care of elderly people. And from that experience, you're still a CNA, but you're working in a little different capacity, and you're just about to enter your sophomore year of college and living on your own and being pretty spectacular. You know a little something about loneliness. When you worked in the nursing home, you worked with a lot of people that, and at some point you may go back to a facility, we don't know, but when you worked in all of the nursing homes you've worked in, you've seen a lot of people really go through that loneliness and not really having people and being there for them. This is a little different slant from some of the other things we're talking about today, but I just wondered if you would talk a little bit about what you know about people in elder care, about what we could do to support our people in elder care, or as a community support people in elder care. They get forgotten.
They do. They get forgotten a lot, like so often. And right now it's a little different because almost all nursing homes are not allowing visitors. But when they do allow visitors, it's so great when people come through and they bring flowers that are divvied up into a bunch of mason jars. They bring them in on a wagon with like 5 little kids and just pass them out. And people love that because their families don't come very often, their kids, their grandkids, like they don't see a lot of people outside of the nursing home. So it's always great when somebody comes in and just brings like their whole family and they just go through and say hi to everyone. And you can definitely tell those days from other days because the energy in the entire facility just like lifts completely because something happened for them today and it was such a great experience. Or like on Sundays are always a really good day because most churches or a lot of different churches will come in and do a service of some sort, but it's really just a way for residents, whether they're religious or not, to just communicate and interact with people outside of their everyday aides and nurses and other residents. So that's always great. But like right now, there's not a lot they can do. They've stopped churches, they've stopped activities.
Yeah.
Most residents are contained in their rooms. On a quarantine kind of deal, and their food is delivered to them from the aides. They don't really go out very much, so it's kind of hard right now. I have seen a lot of posts about people writing letters and drawing pictures and then sending them to the nursing homes, and I think that's a cute idea. Kind of a fun way to.
You could probably send in flowers too.
Yeah, you could probably send flowers. I'm sure there's things you could still do. It would just be in a different capacity.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. I think that as a society, we kind of, not all countries have nursing homes. We take care of our elderly at home. But in the U.S., that's gotten to be such a common thing, and it is a very lonely place, or it can be. And so, and God bless the CNAs who, brush their hair and paint their fingernails and talk to them and, hear their stories for the 1,000th time and be sweet. And, without the CNAs, what would they have, There's a lot of sweetness there, but I think it's always worth remembering. We talk a lot about service, and when we're talking about service, being of service to people that are in elder care homes is something that we should always, remember. You've told me before, things like crossword puzzle books, socks.
Yeah, socks, always. Fuzzy socks.
Are always needed. So, just to get your wheels turning. All right, well, thank you. That was painless, wasn't it?
Oh, practically.
Okay. All right, Mars. All right. And most of you know this is my younger daughter, Mars. She is 17. She's just heading into her senior year of high school. Fingers crossed. She'll get some semblance of normal.
Probably not.
Well, we're hoping, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Mars, you have a capacity you have an infectious way of bringing out the best in other people, particularly in softball and other things. But I've watched you lots and lots of times bring up the energy of your group, encourage people, help people, just, see the best in your teammates and help to uplift them. And that's something that in women, we have struggled with for a long time. Women need to uplift each other. Women need to defend each other. Women really need to have each other's backs. But society has been really hell-bent on making women, keeping women divided. Anytime you talk about women working in an office, somebody's sure to say, well, that's just going to be a mess. Women can't get along. And I really counter that with, that's not true. That doesn't need to be true. It's something society has spoon-fed us for a long time about how women behave. And I'm always inspired by the way you don't fall for that. I've never seen you fall for that. You will lift people up. I've even seen you with opponents that maybe you don't like very much, you maybe on the softball field that you have befriended, and tried to find the best in. But I've just seen this in you a lot, that you have a really good gift for helping to lift people up and encourage them. And I just wondered if you would spend a minute or two talking about what it is that you see in other people that makes you want to cheer them on and believe in them.
Oh, I don't know. I just think that everybody has different things going on in their life, and they have different battles that they're fighting, and you don't know what's going on with them. So you might as well just, even if you hear bad things about them, you need to see the good in them, because maybe that's not always there for them. And I think a lot of it is, I remember my grandpa, Kenny, and he was a leader, and I don't think I ever heard him talk bad about a single person. Maybe once or twice.
And that one guy, Cajun Bob.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think I just remember how Grandpa always saw the best in other people, and I think I always want to remember that because he was such a good guy. But also, I just don't want to make people feel like they aren't good enough or aren't worth it. And so, like in my own team, I really like to make sure that they're all encouraged and that they're all happy because, you really don't know what's going on at home for them, and it just. The best to just help them all the time and see the best in them all the time.
That's a good answer. I like that, and I think that is exactly what you do. And you're right. That's exactly who your grandpa was. What a legacy, huh? Okay, you're free to go. All right, and lastly, this is the birthday girl. This is the reason for our trip, and it's true that we took a little trip in times of COVID. I promise we have been masked to the hilt. We've got more hand sanitizer around here than most Walmarts. I mean, we're covering our bases, I promise. Yeah. But we did take a little trip because Mia's turning 16 tomorrow. This is my niece, Mia. This is Kara's daughter. And she'll be a junior this year. Oh, how can it be?
Oh, nerdy.
But she was willing to join me. She was a little freaked out, but I was glad she did. So thank you. So you were chosen last year to serve on a committee or a group in your school that seeks out kids who need a friend, that need somebody to recognize them, that maybe need someone to sit with them at lunch or to just be there for them. And I wasn't surprised at all that they found you for this project because you have such a big heart. So I knew when you told me you were doing this, my heart swelled 6 sizes because that's you. It's perfect. I loved it. But I just wanted to know if you would talk to us a little bit about how do you recognize someone who might be at high risk, who needs somebody to recognize them and be a friend to them?
Well, everybody's different. So when they're going through things, you don't really, sometimes people get sad and they stop talking. Sometimes other people hide it with a smile. But personally, I kind of know what it's like to drift off and go away from yourself. So when I see other people and I meet them for the first time and then I talk to them again, I kind of just, I don't know, it's kind of like an instinct that I know people are struggling, and I just know what it feels like to feel lost and alone. So I'm always checking up on people.
Yeah.
I always know who people are, and I don't know, it's just, I'm always trying to be there for others because I know what it feels like.
Sure. Would you say that this has expanded your circle of friends?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I have a lot more people in classes that I talk to, especially just this class in general. You meet a lot more people, and you learn to expand and be more comfortable around people when you first see them. And so it's definitely helped me expand my friend group and see other people and get to know others.
Good.
100%.
Well, I love that you're doing that. I love that your school does that. I wish every high school in America had a group like that. I don't believe that they do, but I wish they did. And who knows, moving forward, maybe you'll be a catalyst for that. We'll never say never, right?
Yeah, some people think it's weird that we have this class that helps others, and we try to have little things that we do at lunchtime to reach out or do fun activities, and people think, oh, it's kind of weird. But to be honest, when you're really with those group of people, helping others and knowing that you're doing something good for someone, because you never know what people are going through. You don't know what their home life is like, or if they're struggling at school. And so little things like handing out pieces of candy or giving someone a note from that class, or just another piece of candy in class, you don't know, that could just brighten their whole week.
That might be the only kind thing someone says to them that day. You don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate you joining us, and happy birthday. Thanks for having a birthday so that we could have a little trip. All right. Well, you guys, that's it for Unchurched this week. Thank you so much for joining me. If you want to learn more about me, just head over to katie-weaver.com. And thank you to Kylie for sitting behind the camera and filming for us. I didn't make her come on because, well, she's a minor and I didn't have her mom's permission. So there you go. All right, you guys, have a great week, and we'll take care, and we'll see you soon.